I don't think being a good businessman deserves any different treatment than any other person. I'm extremely uncomfortable when people give me credit for normal shit. Like, there was some guy in the airport in SF in San Francisco on the way here. I met him, took a photo, we talked. And he's like, man, you're really nice. That's fucking amazing. And I know what he's saying and I get it. And I don't feel comfortable in that. I feel like money and fame and success don't change you. I think they expose you. And so I'm detached from it, brother. Like, I'm proud of it. I've worked very hard. Nothing, I love when people are like, you're lucky. I'm like, you know nothing about me. Like, I'm very proud of my success, but I give a lot of credit to my parents. I give a lot of credit to the circumstance. And I definitely don't feel like it makes me special. I'm humbled by the attention. I'm humbled. I mean, do you know what this feels like? Like, when you go to the complete other side of the world and many people want to come and interact and consume your, like, this is humbling. I appreciate it. I really have a lot of love for all of you. Thank you for being here. But to answer your question in a different way, and then we'll move on, I'm gonna die one day. Maybe I'll get some good action for 24 hours on whatever the way we communicate digitally those days, and then everyone's gonna move on with their life. And I think being grounded in that humility and understanding that even if you accomplish special things, the world will move on the day after you're gone, I think is actually very liberating for me. And that's how I think about my success.
When you were building one library at the start, did you ever know you were going to make VaynerMedia, or was that part of later on?
I feel like very early on, only thing I thought about was I'm going to build a big company for my parents because I love them. I didn't even think about myself, and probably until my late 20s, early 30s, when the company got really big and my dad was still paying me nothing, I was like, this might be a little fucked up. You know, when I tell kids to be patient, like, I worked 15 hours a day, 6.5 days a week for 10 straight years, and my dad never paid me more than $70,000 a year, and I built a company from 3 to 70 million. So I would have been way better off getting a job somewhere else. They would have paid me a lot for doing that. But I was 34 years old. I started VaynerMedia with my brother AJ, and we had so little money because I got so little money. Though I had some savings, but I had just invested in Facebook and Twitter. I bet the farm on it. We started VaynerMedia in the conference room of another company because we couldn't even pay rent. And I was 34 years old. You know, when I was 30, how many people here are under the age of 30? Your hands. Like, when I was 32, I was stocking shelves in a liquor store. So you can imagine when 26-year-olds come up to me and they're like, oh, I'm fucking finished. I'm like, motherfucker, you haven't started. So people struggle with patience because most people are insecure. They worry about what other people think about them. So they're rat racing quick to get the paper so they can buy something to impress people they don't even like. And I'm trying to change that narrative. Yeah, I mean, money's good and all. Like, I understand what it is. As a kid, I really thought one day I'd really like to make $100,000 a year. I had a number, you know, I got there and, you know, really, you know, look, I think it's tough to be like, you know, every time I post content, and I post a lot of this content about the money thing versus the happiness thing, people lose their mind. They're so mad at me. They're like, fuck you, sure, you can say it, because you're, like, I get it. It's just the problem is I just know way too many people with money that are miserable. You know, and so, you know, for me, I got very lucky. And this is where luck comes in for sure. I love business. I did it as a kid. When I was 5 and 6 and 7, and it's the summer, the most fun thing for me was to sell lemonade or wash people's cars. Like, I liked the game. I also think, similar to we're living in a great era of entitlement, we're living in an era where people have put entrepreneurship on a pedestal, and a lot of people are forcing themselves to be entrepreneurs when they're not. Let me remind a lot of you in here as you go through your journey, the number 6 at Facebook and the number 12 at Slack and the number 17 at Uber made a lot more money than the number 1 in 99% of companies. You have to be, self-awareness is what leads to happiness. Not everybody should be an entrepreneur. It takes a real stomach to be an entrepreneur. It sucks to be an entrepreneur. Everything's your fault. Everything's on you. Like, I wake up and people are like, what's your morning routine? I'm like, I wake up and look at my phone to make sure the world's not on fire. Because my Singapore office is open and Australia's like it's constant anxiety. You gotta like it for it not to be anxiety, but if you don't like it and you were not built for it, it fucking is the worst. And I watch entrepreneurship eat up people every day. To me, I'm a reverse engineer of what I think is valuable to talk about. You know, like if you talk to my friends or the people that know me best, like I'm in the same pocket. You know, in 2009, when the economy was melted in 2008 and the internet was starting to hit this scale, it was important for me to talk about the opportunities after work. Like, of course, I'm going to talk about what's available to people from 7 to midnight when 99% of the emails and DMs I'm getting is I lost my job, what do I do? Right? Now, I talk a lot about mindset because 15 years ago, I didn't get emails about anxiety and depression. Now, every DM I get is that. So you start thinking about different things. I didn't talk about entitlement. You think I said that thing earlier about if you're paying for your kid's life at 22 is to razz people? I'm not here to razz, I'm here to give love. I'm saying that because the number one thing I see that people are struggling with is when they think their parents don't think they're capable. And the number one way the kids think their parents don't think they're capable is they're paying for their life. Parents think they're doing something good, they're doing something bad. The kid believes that you don't think they can do it. And a lot of parents do it because they want to show other parents that their kid's okay and they're doing well when they're not. You want to really fuck up a kid? Buy a BMW for them, not because you're buying a BMW for them, but because you want other people to think they're doing well. But you and the kid both know they're not doing well. So the biggest difference is society's different. I'm in the business of talking about things that I think can bring value. And so I'm following the conversation and then trying to bring value to the conversation from my perspective to the best of my abilities. My mom just deeply overloved me, you know, in a way that's just profound to me in hindsight. I just thought I could do anything. I thought I was capable of anything. I was, you know, purely loved. But she did a great job. She held me accountable. I was a terrible student. I got punished and grounded. So she loved me, but she didn't love me in a way that made me think that there weren't consequences. I think modern parenting struggles because we don't hold kids accountable. And so she found that balance. My dad scared the shit out of me my whole life, even though he didn't do anything about it. Like, meaning he never did anything to do it. It was just my mom used him as the bad cop. Plus my dad has these weird eyebrows where they're always mean. Like, so that was scary. But my dad was huge because when I was 14 and I joined the family liquor store business, he really taught me some great principles, especially like your word is your bond. He's a very honorable businessman. If you say something, you do it. And he really rounded me out at a time where by 14, I really had the gift of gab and I could sell shit. And to me, the only thing that I cared about was selling the thing, the lemonade, the sports card. And I think my dad caught me at a good time and really taught me good principles. And so I was very fortunate. I am very fortunate. My parents were 22 and 20 when they had me. So we're not, you know, once you become like 30 or 20, even 20, you're kind of in the same general ballpark. So I have a great friendship with them, but it's none of this modern shit. Like, my parents are my parents. You know, one of the reasons I'm comfortable being so out and about everything I do, but including my accomplishments, is I actually am not very attached to my success. When I hear that video that just went up, like, you're this, you're a marketing genius, everything I hear, I'm like, that's for my parents, that's my parents. Like, they built me. I'm the product of them. So I'm very proud to make them proud, and it's a very big currency in my body. I want all of you to be as good at, like, think about the concept of this. Why wouldn't, if you have the interest and the capacity, why wouldn't you want to be good at everything? right? And so we're playing with a lot of things, be it like we used to be more blurred, then we got very siloed to figure out the value of that. Now we're trying to get more blurred in certain areas. Performance creative feels very real, that a media person could also do the creative. There's a lot of media people who don't realize how good their math skills are too, and vice versa. So strategy and creative by nature can blur. So we're contemplating. I think to answer your question directly, that brings value to everybody. I think this is a game of self-awareness. All of you need to get to a place that looks like the following. Stop trying to be something for somebody else. Stop trying to be something that you've made an ideology out of, and start getting to know yourself on what you're good at and what you like. Maybe you want to be in media because your mom was a math professor and she thinks it's the raddest, but if you fucking hate it, even though you're naturally talented because your mom was a math professor, like that's only going to play out for so long, right? And so there's a million scenarios like that. So I think what I'd like you to focus on, all of you, is feeling safe with not judging yourself, not beating yourself up for what you're not, and start getting excited about what you are.
Amazing. Thank you so much.
Of course.
Hi, Gary. How are you?
Oh.
I'm Hadley. I'm a creative resident for. I have one question. What was the most vulnerable point of your career, and how did you move past that as a tougher person?
A really good question. Vulnerable, not challenging, vulnerable. Or I want to make sure I capture vulnerable, because vulnerability to me comes from a place of like, either you are sharing, what you're feeling, or you're in a precarious spot. Like you're not, and then you were able to get through it. Is it the latter?
Yeah, the latter.
I would say that it was a mental hurdle of knowing that I had to leave my dad for me to ever be happy. I'd spent 22 to 34 building this huge company for my dad. By the way, this is about to make you feel really good if you have financial stress. I literally worked, actually no bullshit, 8 a.m. to 10 p.m., Monday through Saturday, and 12 to 5 Sunday for 11 straight years with like 38 vacation days over 11 years. Build a business from $3 million a year to $75 million a year on my back, and got paid $50,000 to $70,000 a year the entire time. Because if any of you are immigrants, that's immigrant family business life. If I worked at Vayner, I'd be making like $500,000 a year when I was 29, so when I knew that I was starting to form resentment towards my dad because of how big of a business I built for him and how little I was getting, that was challenging for me because I was blindly in love with my parents and had a mission and was doing this unique thing. And it felt great for a very long time until it didn't. And having to deal with that was very challenging. One, starting to have negative feelings towards my dad wasn't nice. Two, I was like, fuck, I have no money. And I'm really good. And I gotta buy the jets. I have $8. That was very challenging for me. And, just to give you context, VaynerMedia only started 14 years ago. And I had so little money that the company started in another company's conference room because we couldn't afford rent. Really crazy stuff. So that was the most vulnerable spot.
What motivates you? I mean, every day you wake up, what keeps you from just dropping everything, moving to Cannes, and just never working a day in your life again? What is the motivation?
Well, the motivation is when you just said, pick up, move to Cannes, and never work again. For normal people who aren't in love with their shit the way I am, you basically just said to me, Gary, what stops you from taking a boulder off a mountain and smashing your head with it and dying? To me, the thought of moving to Cannes and Cannes nice for a week, but the thought of waking up in the French Riviera 365 days a year, waking up and going to the market and getting fresh. And this is something that I think is nice for a week, getting fresh fruits and vegetables. And by day 19, I'm dead. By day 3, I'm antsy. And it's because I genuinely like what I do. And so I think what motivates me is I really like it, bro. Like, I think people don't believe people. Like, I'll give you an example. I hated school so much that I was a DNF student, even though I probably have the intellect to have not been a DNF student. But like, when people don't believe people that love what they do for a living, I get it. Because actually, here's something fun. By show of virtual hands, how many people really liked the process of school? Liked it, right? I just see a lot of hands going up. Like, I don't understand what the fuck you're talking about. How? But to me, I understand that because when I'm out here pumping unlimited content of like, do what you love, it's the fucking, like, I'm so happy this second, bro. And I have 9,000 headaches right now. There's like shit going through my mind right now that's going on behind the scenes of the 2,000 employees and the 80 businesses I have and all. And I'm a public figure and people shit on me and all that. Like, but I fucking love it. So the answer is, it's my fucking DNA. It's what I love to do. Like, literally think about this. Some of you may know this about me. My favorite hobby is to go garage sailing, which is in essence like a version of playing business. Like, it's who I am. It's what I love. So it makes it really easy for me, brother, which is why I really want people to hear me in this meeting. Like, maybe marketing isn't the right thing. Like you're at the age, all of you right now, where like, if you feel in your soul that you're a chef, you need to fucking try. Like, I'm not in the business to like make you guys all leave Vayner. I'd prefer you not. But like, you're at the age where it gets a lot harder to follow your dream at 35 than it does at 22. Right now, you're willing to live with 4 people in a shithole and eat shit food because you're a fucking kid. Like, I'm willing to do it and I'm old. Like, you're definitely willing to do it. So, for me, the motivation is super simple. It's how I breathe. Like, the dream for me is not to get the money to do the thing. The dream to me is to do the work.
Has it always been like that? Or did one day you wake up and you realize that you love it?
It's always been like that for me, and I got very fortunate. And I know that's not the way it is for everyone, but I stumbled into what I liked. It was called lemonade stands and washing people's cars and shoveling snow and working at my dad's liquor store at 14 and stocking shelves. Like, I got there, which is why I always challenge all of you. Notice what I just did in the Slack. Like, that's like a weird thing for a CEO to do. I'm like, hey, why did I do that? I did that because I'm hoping even one group of 5 people decide to get on a Zoom that don't know each other, which leads to them maybe getting a drink, that leads to them like starting an improv club together. Like I want people to explore. Like, I'm just petrified that all of you have locked in and you haven't tasted every option, or more scary to me, that you're suppressing what's actually in your stomach to appease your parents or your logical self. So for me, it's always been there, brother, but I promise you, the second like you open your mind to thinking your favorite hobby or your favorite thing can be a business or a viable way that you put a roof over your head, your life changes. And by the way, one of my favorite things about Vayner is you're learning such insane skills here that map to anything and everything if you decide to ever take that jump at 25, 29, 36, 41, 52. And let me give you some real fucking wisdom. I'm 47, right? If all of you, I hope you remember this in 25 years. Do you know what the craziest shit about being 47 is? I straight up, sitting here with all of you right now, think we're friends. Like, I literally think like we're the same right now, right this second. I'm like, yo, let's go out after this. Like I think we're the same. When you feel that, when you get older, that will blow you away. Because when I was 22 and started working full time at my dad's liquor store, my cousin was 30. I thought he was a fucking 100 years old. Like, I'm sitting here talking to you, being like, yo, we're the same. If a 47-year-old said to me that we were the same at 21, I would have laughed my fucking, it's like, I'm like 1,000 to you, but in my stomach, I feel like we need to go play video games and like fucking, I don't know, like what we're just hanging, like that is the best part of life that nobody tells you. Like, it doesn't change as much as you think. You can't be motivated when you don't like it. I got D's and F's my whole life because I fucking hated school. Like, I'm telling you, man, the world's got it upside down. The quickest way to buy the things that people think they want is to like what they do. But everyone thinks it's the other way around. Let me chase the money, then I'll have it, then I'll be happy. You are very wrong. Because I know unlimited, miserable as fuck millionaires. Yeah, I think the things that, when people look at people accomplishing wealth or commercial success, it's just very obvious that the fuels are very opposite. It's almost like Star Wars had it all figured out, right? Like, the Force and the dark side are actually very close. But in the end, good wins. And I believe that. I think most people achieve big things from a heavy driver of deep insecurity. They're gonna fucking show the world, fuck you mom and dad and the world, and it just drives them. And I think there's another energy which is rarer, is they just love everything and everybody, and it just like the love drives them. And so it's a simple game of love and hate. And the more extreme you are on those two energies, the more you've got fuel to create commercial success. The issue is, if you build your financial and commercial success through insecurity and darkness, it's not sustainable once you get there. The reason there are so many people in the world that have made but then lost is because that's what happened to them. And so I just feel like a lot of people get to a mountain that they put on a pedestal, and then they get there and it's really bad. And so this is why I'm so passionate about self-esteem and self-awareness and all the shit I talk about, because I'm old enough now to have watched a lot. I've lived in a lot of rooms. I've been in all sorts of places, from the dirt to the penthouse. And it's just very clear to me what life's about and how everybody's interacting. And I just want people to be happier because it feels nice. I think it was, like, this is why it's so fun for me to talk about things I do. I don't think it has anything to do with me. It was all built. I'm the byproduct of my parents and my environment. When people are like, Garyvee, you're awesome, I'm like, cool. Like when people are like, I'm super detached from Garyvee. What did I do? I didn't have sex that night, my parents did. Right? And then my parents made me, my parents groomed me. My mom is an all-time human being. The number one challenge for everybody in this room as a parent is, are you willing to build self-esteem into your children without it becoming delusion? How do you make somebody confident but not entitled? How do you make somebody feel like they can be anything while having humility? That's some fucking gangster shit. And Tamara Vaynerchuk did that with ease with me. Then there was also the compounding fact that we got to leave the Soviet Union, we came to America, I was an 80s baby, I don't know if my mom was parenting me today in this new world where parents are all up in their fucking kids' shit, would I be the same person? Because the other thing that made me was not Tamara, it was the streets of Edison, New Jersey. I think that who I am today would be different if I didn't get into fights in middle school. Right? I think one of the biggest problems in the world is I think kids should be fighting each other more. I'm not joking. I think we're over-coddling our children so much that I believe my epic trilogy of fights with Oded Weinstock in Edison, New Jersey in the 80s shaped me. I grew up, the reason everyone's talking so much shit on social media is when we talked shit in the 80s in New Jersey, somebody might punch you in the fucking mouth. So you were conscious of the shit that came out of your mouth. Now everyone's a fucking keyboard warrior and thinks they're a fucking tough guy. Let me paint you a scenario. You wake up and you grab your phone and you start consuming content and you see something and you decide to make somebody feel bad because you leave a shitty comment on their content. Could you imagine a worse existence? It's simple. Like, if somebody's shitting on you in the comments and says you're stupid or you're ugly or you're this and that, don't feel bad for you, feel bad for them. I don't know, I deal with it very easily. But you also have to be careful. The biggest reason people struggle with negative comments is because they believe the positive comments. The reason I'm able to deal with so much negative comments is because when people say I'm the greatest, I don't believe them either. The reason so many people are vulnerable is they have selective enjoyment of the comments. When people say you're awesome, you're like, yeah. Which means when people say you're shit, you're like, yeah. And for me, I just don't believe it at all in either direction. I'm not here for the validation or the teardown. I'm here for the process. Yeah, I love the game of business. I love sports. Sports is the best because there's a score and somebody won. You know? Like, I love that shit. It's why I hate 8th place trophies. Like, you're teaching kids that losing is bad when it's great. Like, I love when kids cry when they lose. I'm being dead serious. You show me a 9-year-old who starts crying the second they've lost, I'll show you a kid that I'm ready to hire on the fucking spot. People are like, don't be a sore sport. They fucking care. We're like trying to like suck out all the good shit. Like, I love sore sport. Show me a kid that loses and then pushes the other kid, I'm like, that kid's got it. Don't reprimand them, clap for them. I really believe in some of these dynamics. I like competition. But if you love the game, like one of the things that's interesting about loving the game the way I do, you have to love it more than your own self. This all leads to the thing I spend a lot of time on, which is we are living in the greatest era of non-accountability of all time. It's the algorithm's fault, it's your parents' fault, it's the government's fault. When the fuck is it your fault? The single reason I'm happy every day is I think everything's my fault. I'm being dead serious. If I'm unhappy, I can do something about it. You're mad at the government? Move. No, really, we're in fucking Australia. So if you really hate what the fuck is going on, leave. Like sitting around the table and shitting on politicians when you're not even voting is some fucking bullshit. You know, I think, look, some people struggle with the camera, and that's okay. Like maybe you can write, or maybe you can audio. But if you're gonna go in front of the camera, talk about what you know. But you don't need to be an expert. You're the expert of your life experiences. You can talk about anything. And I'd highly recommend talking about stuff that you're interested in, because it becomes sustainable. A lot of people fail because they talk about shit they think money will be in. You know, the amount of people that I've physically watched in the last 4 years go from cannabis experts to NFT experts to real estate experts. I mean, now they're fucking AI experts. I mean, like, fucking assholes. The only thing they're experts at is sucking. And because it's selfish, when you put expert in your name, it's almost immediately an indicator that you want other people's money. This is brick by brick, and it's gonna come to making a team and then deciding very simply, how are you gonna make the content? And so what do I mean by that? The way I make content is happening right now. I just record my real life. There's the concept of coming up with a couple of consistent themes that you're gonna do, events that you record and produce. Like, you're gonna need that kind of anchor to get the post-production from. So I think that's a big part to think through. But the biggest thing that will be the variable of difference here is you not lying to yourself. All the things that we're frustrated about with my content is because I'm incapable of doing it. I'm just too busy, I can't do it. Like, we know on my team that if I brought back tea with Garyvee, like I did during COVID, we'd be crushing the world. If I woke up every morning and did 8 to 9 a.m. on Tea with Garyvee, we'd have no problems on my team. We would have 4 to 5 clips every fucking day that are worthwhile to break down into, post-produce, and we'd be fucking moonwalking. On the flip side, when I'm deeply operational with BeFriends and VaynerX, and they're the first people that don't even get 2 minutes to run in and capture some content, and that gets hard. So the recommendation why did I tell you that story? The number one mistake that the MP in this scenario always makes is they lie to themselves about what they're. That's your initials. Okay. The MP, you know.
The MP, I was like, that turns out to, I don't know. I'm like, is that some 401 shit?
The person that's making this decision, someone famous, someone to come, this is what I want to do. Like the mistake, especially when they've already had success. Kids know they have time, they're willing to do anything. Right. I want to be famous, I want to be a TikToker. It's when you are a grown up and have a real life and have had a career and you've got your cadence and what have you, you need to be real with yourself. You know, for example, going on the street and talking to people is a genre that will always work. There is a lot of people that will never do that. And it's okay to not do that. That's not you.
It's not me.
Good, yeah. Right? But you fucking like hiking and literally just fucking spewing thoughts for an hour, that's you.
I like to do that, send it to my friends.
Right, now I recommend hiking along with your Dustin, because what that does, I'll tell you, when I first started doing the thing that became the thing, like it took me 2 days to realize why reality TV worked. I'm like, fuck man, D-Rock's been following me around for the whole day, I forgot he's here, this is real life.
Yeah.
And so like what that does is you're not, think about the difference. You're not having to hold it and now you're just in the fucking stream of conscious. Like the shit I say to myself is the best shit I've ever made.
Right.
It just never saw the day of Earth. Like, especially since COVID, I haven't been doing the filming the same way. Man, there's probably 100 things that would have been my most viral videos of the year that died in my head because nobody was around. That didn't happen for 5 years, which is why I was able to build what I built.
Yeah.
So I think you've got to find a team. We know what I'm doing right now is setting the strategy.
Yeah.
Because this team could show you everything when they take over this meeting, and then we'll do it again. Like Hannah said yesterday on email, this is not a one and done thing. We're here for you. We'll help you through this whole thing. The biggest thing you need to do is not lie to yourself about what you're willing to do or not do, but challenge yourself on things you may want to try. The good news is here's Stan, and you're like, I like Stan. Here's Stan, Charlie, and Sally, and you meet them, and you're like, I like Stan. And you, literally, if you texted me and be like, yo, I can't do this after the first day, or if you did it for a week and be like, I can't do this, or if you did it for 30 days and be like, I can't do this, it's all the same. Or you'll be like, I can do it. I'm really agnostic to it. Yeah. I think you should consider it because it does put you in the best position to succeed for what you want.
I'll tell you what. I think where my resistance comes from is having stuff like that and not having it be converted. Like not having an A player editing it.
I get it.
So if I had that, I think it'd be a lot more exciting to me. Because my actual life, like first you said to me, you're fit. It's not an accident. Like my life is inspiring. And I want to share that. And I built that over decades, and so there's a lot to share.
You're preaching.
There's a lot to share. Okay.
I was selling wine and was like, I need to share. I understand how it happens. I lived it. I think the genre that he's walking into, which is the modern version of spirituality is really neat. Because I think what I sense is it's similar to what happened with fitness. Fitness in the 70s and 80s was much smaller. You'd be stunned what people wrote about going to the gym in the 70s. It's a little culty, it doesn't mean anything. Who gives a now it's we don't he's growing up in a way that's just showering. Having an exercise regimen of some sorts is just the most normal thing. Whereas I'm old enough to know nobody thought like that except the Gold's Gyms dudes. Now, and so I think today, even in the last 5 years, the concept of being spiritual, the breathing, the bats, the mental health, all of this, 5 years ago. I mean, I've been making content long enough to know I was touching on it without even realizing I was touching on it, and mattered. Now it's like at the forefront, and I think the appetite for it, we haven't even begun to fill. So when I hear what he wants to do, there's not enough supply for the demand, and especially on the male front, right? And I think Mike has more, we have like, him and I share something, though mine comes across more aggressive than his does, it is in nature a more like warm entry point to it. It's not like,
I also think it comes from a really powerful place, like when you talk about the music as the foundation in this all spirituality. Sometimes spirituality for the sake of spirituality can get a little on the nose, but as a part of a much larger ecosystem of you as a creative musician, then I think it becomes very relatable, because everyone has everyone's multi-hyphenated now, right? Whereas like the old Gold's Gym is like, well, that's what I do, I lift, I'm a lifter. Now it's like people do that because
everyone's a Renaissance man.
It spurs whatever else is going on in their life.
Yeah. I lived it, man. I was born just kind of a shy, depressed Jewish kid from the suburbs. And I look like my real life is bigger than my dreams were. And I can't even explain that. And so, how did that happen? Well, like, I'm not just a dude sitting behind the mic like, try doing this. Like, dude, I put my life on the line. Like, I almost died of Mount Everest. And I'm the guy that almost died and kept going and got this, so I just got something to share, and it's deep.
The things that you're measuring is growth of consumption of your content, not follow count, but growth of actual consumption, views, qualitative feedback. And honestly, your subjective opinion of if you're feeling that you're growing. Do you know how I judged it? When I went to the airport, it felt like more people were saying what's up.
Yeah.
That was it. That's how I judged it.